ByuN, Solar, Maru, GuMiho. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, Live, 2023, GSL Season 2.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here at the GSL Group A. We just wrapped up Solar versus ByuN. If you missed that match, you missed out because it was a lot of fun. It was a crazy back and forth every game. So cool. Already showing us just how great the round of 8 is going to be.
And now we're going to move into Maru versus GuMiho, as if today couldn't get any better. This is going to be one of the best TVTs you will ever see, as Maru, fresh off another GSL victory, a TVT got emerged victorious from a round of 4 with nothing but Terrans. But GuMiho, just quietly over the course of the past couple of weeks, has been getting into such good shape, specifically in the TVT matchup. You know, he's playing best of 7s against guys like ByuN that are going the distance. He's beating Maru in S-tier tournaments. It's going to be absolutely insane. I can't wait to get started.
Now, we should note here, GuMiho is one of the players that does not live in Seoul. Most of the players live in Seoul, or live like, in a suburb just outside of Seoul, right? GuMiho, DRG, these guys, they usually take the train up to the studio to compete. And if you didn't know, there have been tons of floods in Korea. We are getting rained on. It's monsoon season right now. And so the trains are actually shut down. So GuMiho is playing from home.
Yeah, not able to make it to the studio. I think I read it was like one of the worst floodings in Korea in like 115 years, just torrential downpour, especially in rural areas. And
so with the trains being shut down somewhat abruptly, GuMiho wasn't able to make it up here. Luckily, we already have the infrastructure in place to do this online, thanks to Season 1.
We trained for an entire season.
Yes, this is our emergency broadcast. So finally, we're going to get to use this in a real-life setting. So he's playing from home. There is a 3-minute delay, in case you were wondering. So I'm talking to you guys from the future, okay?
It's true.
So far, it's okay.
Yeah.
3 minutes from now, not bad. But yeah, let's see what happens. I think Maru easily the favorite here, but GuMiho's a guy you don't want to count out.
2023 GSL Season 2. Onside Gaming, Maru. GuMiho.
Almost forgot what that green screen behind him looked like.
I know. We were talking about, we're like, well, we saw everybody's computer room when we did Season 1. Do we remember what it looks like? It's like, oh, that's right.
He's in space.
He's in a futuristic cyberpunk city.
Dystopian towers, just like purple smog, flying cars.
The purple pollution. So in this game, both sides going for their Raxes and gas, although it is 2 racks here for Maru.
Yeah, 2x Reaper opening probably coming out of Maru is an interesting build. Interesting build order selection. Welcome down to the studio. Good to have you here.
This is going to be interesting. How exactly does Maru want to try to handle GuMiho right away? You said 2 racks Reaper. How ready exactly is GuMiho going to be for this? GuMiho, again, he's always got a kind of different take on all the matchups. With these 2 players together, I imagine we're going to have a lot of interactions right away.
Hey, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just also going to say, Maru is somebody who doesn't really make TVT that long a lot of the times.
No, he's got a killer instinct. I think if he understands the matchup very well, and if he identifies an opportunity to just go and kill you, he will almost always try to capitalize on it, and sometimes to a fault even. I think it was maybe GSL Season 1 from this year, or was the last season of last year. I felt like we casted a couple of TVTs where Maru was maybe even a little bit over-ambitious and trying to end games in TVT, specifically with medevac drops with Marines and tanks very early on 2 bases. Since then, he's toned it down a little bit, but still absolutely a killer in this matchup. If he identifies weakness, he will try to capitalize on it. Better than pretty much anybody else that we have here in this league. So would not be surprised if this game ended just due to a couple of critical moments.
He's got those Reapers coming down. He has an SCV with them as well. And it looks like he wants to try to kill this SCV that's over here.
I should be able to get that pick. But with a Hellion and a Marine, GuMiho should be able to retake the low ground.
There's one Reaper in the middle here. It, for a second, draws away the other Reaper, but eventually it's pulled back in with the group.
That's a nice win there for Maru. He went for a 2x Reaper opening, so it's a little bit more expensive. Delays your tech just a little bit. Delays your command center just a little bit, but picking off a worker like that and also delaying your opponent's expansion and getting all this scouting information, absolutely making it worth it here for Maru.
Oh, is he going to get this Reaper?
Almost feels like his Reaper's faster.
Yeah, I was like, and as we all know, Maru's Reapers are better than GuMiho's. Just kills it.
Use the microtransactions to get a slightly better loadout on his Reapers.
His Reapers are faster and shoot farther, so that's why he's going to win that fight.
I am glad that's not an aspect of this game, microtransactions like augmenting units or anything like that. It's never really been an aspect of like any RTS, so I'm grateful for that. But just imagine if that was a case. It's like, yeah, Maru, his Reapers are just like 10% faster than yours.
Yeah,
you got to deal with it.
I'm like, oh, your Reapers don't jump up? Well, you have to pay for that. You have to unlock that.
It's a $9.99 month subscription.
It's a $15 microtransaction you got to get.
All right, so Maru actually going for a third command center behind this and playing a little bit safe, going for a Cyclone as well. So I guess he's kind of gleaned from his early harassment that this isn't really shaping up to be a game where he's going to find a specific angle that he can come in and just try to sever the head of GuMiho, and instead is going to try and macro up a little bit more back at home and play a defensive game, at least for the next couple of minutes while he waits for his economy to come online. That means that GuMiho might be the one to try and take an initiative should he be able to identify that this is Maru's game plan, but I don't think he yet knows about that third command center. Perhaps this Raven moving across the map will give him an inkling of what's going on, especially if it comes over through the top part of the main base.
All right, so we've got already the Raven ready to come in here, try to chuck down auto turret. He might be able to kill that SCV making the command center.
Yeah, he immediately knows what's going on, so.
Yeah, probably actually better to save the auto turret as I said that. Scouting Reaper here for Maru. He's going to get in here, and he's going to see there is no third command center, although.
Great Reaper.
Yeah, it's still here, man.
It scouts all of the production, the starport, barracks, and the factory,
it's
and
like
kills an
SCV. Get out.
Maybe they really are faster. I don't know.
It just does like a Super Mario jump way across like another platform. Like, huh. I didn't know his Reapers could do that. GuMiho's going to move out first. The question is Maru ready to tangle with this?
Yeah, GuMiho scouting the third command center and still not building a third CC back at home means that he's going to try and play a little bit more of an aggressive contain game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he threw down something like another starport or something even here, as we have seen a lot of Terran players heavily lean into air superiority when trying to make pushes like this happen. But GuMiho for now seems content to just kind of mix both Vikings and Liberators along with these siege tanks. And for Maru, actually breaking out of this position is going to be a little bit difficult. That's a lot of siege tanks coming on his side of the map. 2 Ravens as well, Liberators too. Now these 3 Reapers coming back into the main base for GuMiho, actually getting so much damage done. And I think Maru kind of smells blood in the water here as he's identifying. He's going to send 2 medevacs full of Marines cross map despite this aggression coming in on his command center at the natural expansion.
Oh man, I mean, this is really bad for Maru. Granted, the Reapers did kill some SCVs, but I mean, this is big because look, he can push right up to where those add-ons are. He's going to start to hit the infrastructure. I didn't imagine this game was going to go this direction, but this might be too much to recover from. I think he's going to deny combat shields. He does, yeah.
Wow. That's a wonderful kill there for GuMiho, and Maru's got a lot invested in these 16 Marines on GuMiho's side of the map, trying to get some damage done. He's going to come into the natural expansion, should be able to force the lift and get a good number of SCVs, actually 13 going down. So Maru, despite being on one base, does have the worker lead, but you have to wonder, I mean, it's only a matter of time, right, until GuMiho stabilizes back at home. But for Maru, the problem is a little bit more complicated. That's a tough position to break. Multiple Liberators. Raven still continuing to pile on energy. A lot of siege tanks right below the ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, barracks are falling even.
He's going to try to come in here on the side. And the auto turrets could not be better. The disable as well, the Hellion. Never gets to take that fight.
Man, GuMiho is just a killer right now.
Yeah, I think Maru did a good job trying to slow him down, you know, at the natural. But, I mean, this damage, what are you going to do, man? I mean, all the add-ons are being hit here. Okay, it's now or never. He's going to try to come in like this.
And he's going to drop on top of the siege tank. So a nice angle right now for Maru, but GuMiho just has so much on the ground. I mean, Maru, even if he is able to clean this up with Stim, you got to feel that the damage might be too much. There's basically no infrastructure back at home.
Yeah, are there actually Marines on the ground?
A handful of them.
Okay, there's like 2 or 3, so I don't know that he can even stop the Liberators.
That's right.
He could just basically set up a perimeter where you actually can't get in there.
GuMiho is
Look at this unit interaction, by the way. It's like, yeah, that's how you do it. You just kind of set up your Liberators there so that your Vikings can land on the ground inside that Liberation zone.
GuMiho has more Vikings right now than Maru has Marines. I think he could actually just land these Vikings and push and win the game with that, should he choose to. As Maru is going to stick through this a little bit longer, but I mean, the writing is on the wall right now. What a crazy game from GuMiho.
Yeah, I mean, this is really something else. I'm kind of impressed that Maru's even still fighting right now.
Just going to wait until all of his buildings die.
Yeah, he's going to wait until his last building burns to the ground. He's going to be like, you know what? You got me.
I mean, he's just going to try his best, perhaps. Doesn't recognize how far behind he is, but yeah.
God.
GuMiGod. I'm telling you, man, he's going to get out of this group. GuMiho's in such good form right now.
You know, it's a very straightforward start. I mean, you know, quick third CC versus a 2-base aggression. And, you know, GuMiho, a very straightforward push. You siege up, you get in there. Maybe Maru, a little bit of disrespect with the build itself.
Yeah, that was a very greedy third command center coming out from Maru. And he felt confident when he shouldn't have. And we were talking a lot about killer instinct from Maru's side of things, but that was actually GuMiho just identifying with the scout exactly what the setup was for Maru and then pushing across the map and killing him. And it really felt like Maru, with the tool set he had, there was no answer. I mean, that push was just death. It executed correctly, and GuMiho absolutely did execute.
Maru versus GuMiho continuing on. An interesting turn of events. Maru losing that, and I think that was under 10 minutes. I mean, a very short TVT there. Neo-Humanity is where we're going to go for map number 2 now. Is Maru going to go down to the losers match? That would be insane. That was not in the script.
Not in the script.
And in case you guys are wondering, yes, this is like WWE. It's all not real. No, I mean, seriously, I never would have guessed that we would see Maru in the losers match. It could happen. I mean, that was a really commanding performance from GuMiho. GuMiho playing solo. Didn't even have to give anything away as far as his play style there. Anyways, guys, this best of 3 is continuing on.
On-site gaming, Maru. GuMiho.
It's hard to breathe on top of that building, I imagine. It's gonna be cold up there.
It's gotta be windy.
It's gonna be really windy.
Maybe that helps him dry his hands when he's, you know, he's always got that towel.
Yeah, he doesn't need it up there, man. The air just dries it right out.
We got a proxy barracks coming in from GuMiho, by the way. This is the first barracks, not the second one, so a very ambitious proxy.
Staying caffeinated.
I can't do that anymore. I'm a decaf boy now.
You're a decaf guy now.
I'm in rehabilitation, too much caffeine.
I remember coming here to Korea, and me and Artosis finding a place that just did like refills on ice Americanos.
Oh no!
And we would just sit in the coffee shop and drink them all day, and I was fine. And now if I have like a second ice Americano, I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to die.
Yeah, back when I was training at the Quantic House and the Star Trail House very early on in StarCraft 2, both those teams were sponsored by Red Bull. And we just had crates of Red Bull and Red Bull fridges in the house.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Because of me, they had to implement a rule: 2 Red Bulls per day.
So funny.
I was like 18. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just wolfing them down.
Why would I have water when I could have Red Bull? It's fine.
Water's not going to raise your MMR. Red Bull will. Yeah.
So
it's the same with Hot 6, man.
No, it's true. Now we've got the CC coming down here. In the main, a conservative game, by the way, from Maru. Maru may be suspecting there could be a little bit of danger.
Yeah, he's going for the bunker, and I'm surprised that he's going for this command center still, despite all of this. But I suppose that he thinks, you know, a bunker and the SCVs back at home should be enough to mitigate any aggression, as this isn't a super crazy build coming out of GuMiho. It is just the 1 barracks proxied with a factory back at home.
The SCV's inside the main. Maru's SCV is inside the main here from GuMiho. So he's going to scout around and see what he can find. And, you know, I got to say, it looked like it was going to be a pretty dramatic build. I kind of thought we were going to have the factory and maybe even a starport put out in the middle of the map. But instead, GuMiho's dialed it back, and I think smartly so.
Yeah, this is nice. It forced a big response out of Maru. Maru will have the faster command center, but it is on the high ground, so he's going to lose production time and mining time, having to lift that one up all the way down into the natural expansion. He had to build a bunker, which, yes, now he has salvaged, but that slows down the rest of the infrastructure there for Terran. It's still 100 minerals that you're not spending until this moment, and GuMiho keeping up with the tempo. He slowed it down, but now he's speeding it back up again with his proxy starport. Cool build from GuMiho. Oh, and it's going to be Cyclones, upgraded Cyclones coming out.
That I can't say I'm too surprised by, although it's a really quick Cyclone upgrade.
I think if Maru had scouted the flying barracks, he might have a little bit more of an idea. It's not the biggest tell when you see that proxy barracks flying in to get a scout off in the main base. But against a player like GuMiho, it's got to be in the back of your mind, right? Oh, Maru's setting this trap. Gumi doesn't notice. Clever.
But, you know, he was just getting started here, so he's going to actually pick off that mine. This is actually pretty sick. The command center can't be landed now. Now, the floating barracks, obviously, it's a bit of a giveaway, right? But that's kind of a good tool in these positions. He's got a really light contain. He can kind of sit out here and harass and poke at this group of units that, you know, it is slower. And, you know, it has a difficult time, especially with ledges and everything else, kind of dealing with this.
A nice grenade,
the depot out. Yeah, I mean, this is all really good.
Maru is very far away from medevac tech. I don't think he even has a starport yet on the field, unless I'm mistaken. He just now starts it, so any damage on these Marines, it's going to add up very quickly.
I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but there's a real chance that if Maru doesn't handle this very well, he could fall apart pretty fast.
It's possible, and I think GuMiho's going mech. He's adding a second factory behind this.
Look at the placement of that. He's going to have to go all the way to the side.
And even then, I think it's still going to get... Yeah, he can't actually dislodge this.
Oh,
going to be so good.
Yeah.
Repair coming in on the siege tank will prevent it from going down, but...
Really nicely done by Maru saving that tank. That is so annoying. That's like just so perfectly set up.
Yeah, what an angle.
The barracks is going to fall. That should be his only barracks, so, you know, he can't make more factories with this. But, you know, the Liberator is really kind of stealing the show here.
Well, there's another one coming out, too. And keep in mind, this all goes back to Maru also being delayed with his tech up, as that starport, it didn't start until this push was already well underway, so the Viking now only just about to pop here at the 5-minute and 30-second mark.
Could he leapfrog this with the Liberator and the Cyclones? Is there any way that he could try to come in?
He might be able to. I'm worried about the Cyclones if they haven't been repaired yet. All right, now this is an angle where Maru should be able to dislodge this Liberator from that position, especially now with the Viking on the field. But, oh, he drops a mule to repair the barracks.
Big save there.
Yeah. Actually, it's really funny if you think about it, watching SCVs and mules repair flying buildings. Cause you're not, they're not even in contact with it. It's like,
that's where you can tell Blizzard really put their love in for that. It's like, wow, it really is like cool sci-fi. No, it's like just sitting under the building and repairing nothing. So here we are. we've got tanks coming out in pairs. There's a decent number of Cyclones on the map. Cyclones mean that you can take a fight, but enough tanks means that you can either hold a position or push theirs. So I wonder, is that what he's thinking? Maybe not, actually, with the third base coming down. Because, you know, infantry in small numbers can beat mech in small numbers.
Yeah, but I feel like one of the benefits of what GuMiho did with those Cyclones and with those Liberators is he took a lot of the wind out of the sail here of Maru. Usually, when mech builds get picked apart by bio builds, it happens very early on when you're trying to establish that third base where the domino effect just starts to trigger and the bio player gets way too much momentum. But with how much damage GuMiho got done and also with how much he slowed down the build from Maru, also forcing him to make a Viking before getting out any Medivacs, for example. These are all little tiny things that slow down the system of the bio player. And as a result, that very scary window for the meching Terran GuMiho, it's getting closer and closer to actually closing. And once it does, it'll be very hard, I think, for Maru to actually find any kind of game-killing blow. So this could be one of those TBTs where we actually start to go into the late game with bio versus mech.
It's not a common sight to see the third CC operating for the mech player before the bio player. I mean, that's very unusual. And so the tempo of this game it's going to be very different from any normal TVT we have. We've casted bio versus mech a million times before, right? But this one is going to be a little bit special.
And GuMiho adding in a third starport and a fusion core. Oh man, Armory coming through too, third factory as well. Love to see this from GuMiho.
And the fourth CC for Maru is going to finish pretty quickly, so he's going to try to basically squeeze in the extra base pretty early on and play a game of catch up. Now, I'm not sure exactly when GuMiho wants to activate. You know, he's at 120 supply, so he's definitely not close to a moment where he can really move out on the map, in theory, but again, this game is developed in kind of a strange pattern.
I think with the mech style that he's going for, he's probably going to opt for battle cruisers and Vikings and just have siege tanks anchor him on the ground. If you're going for that comp, I don't see any world where you push out before you actually get maxed.
I think you're probably right.
I mean, maybe you send some battle cruisers a long way around the map, but then you teleport them back home before they actually fall. But that is dangerous, you know, if your opponent has Ravens, for example, where they can disable the BCs. So I think that might be the most aggression we see coming out of GuMiho. And I want to see actually if that scan was able to spot the setup here for GuMiho. If Maru saw the fusion core, then he's going to have a very good idea of what's coming underway. And yeah, two battle cruisers. They're coming tasteless. This is a cool build.
Yeah, this is very different. It's going to be pretty wild if GuMiho beats Maru in just two completely different types of games.
I'm loving this.
We've got the double armory here for Maru. So he has some plans of his own here.
I think he might recognize that he needs to actually fight this guy in the sky alongside GuMiho.
I think you're probably right about that. He needs to try to match whatever air fleet GuMiho's going to muster. Otherwise, he's just going to be obsolete later on.
Yeah, actually, just look at the unit tab very quickly. Maru hasn't made any more Marines than 16, so he's basically going into mech himself against this. He's doing a very delayed switch into that. You know, because he had 16 Marines, I want to say, you know, several minutes ago. And instead, he's spending all of those minerals on expansions, on building up the infrastructure back at home, and trying to go into his own, basically, mech composition to counter what GuMiho's doing himself. So this is a very cool game, the way that it's shaking out. I thought for a moment that we might see... Well, that's an interesting skin.
I know.
It feels like we're missing some of the chassis here. These BCs should have less HP. Maru's Reapers are faster.
If you
and
shoot them right in the middle, they break in half. Like,
it's like a skill shot.
No,
But yeah, this is a cool response from Maru. He's now pumping Ravens and Vikings mostly. 16 Vikings in total. Cool game. I think Maru perhaps identified that because the tempo was on the meching player's side, he was never going to get that window as the bio player where he could actually get critical damage done. And so he made the very smart play. It's like, okay, I'm just going to forego the composition that's not going to scale as well into the late game. I'm going to play mech myself. And now he's going into a fusion core here at the 11-minute mark. 16 Vikings for Maru, 13 for GuMiho. Maru does have 3 Ravens as well. GuMiho has none on the field. And now the harassment commences, and these BCs came all the way around. We'll see if the disables actually come in. Not able to connect, and based on the angle, I think he actually moved those to reinforce with his army over here on the top right.
Yeah, I think you're right. Wow, those Hellions really not getting anything done there, trying to break up into that position. And you know, I can't believe like this one tank and maybe the second one that's going to come up here have done this much damage. It seems like it completely stopped whatever GuMiho wanted to try out. And now we've got the counter push here from Maru.
That's a very tight choke point to push in, as Maru now finally has set up a big siege tank line right there.
It almost feels like Maru's already circumnavigated what GuMiho had in store. I mean, I don't see these tanks doing much damage, at least with the push so far.
Yeah, but GuMiho is pumping Vikings 8 at a time right now, Tasteless. So if he's able to get sky control here against Maru, it's going to be a very scary position. And anything that GuMiho can do to slow down the gas acquisition here for Maru, like taking down this extractor here at the natural expansion of Terran, does a lot, because Maru, he's hurting for gas. He wants to get all these armory upgrades. He's going for a Raven-heavy composition, which, although they are cheaper now, they still do cost a ton of gas. And he's also mixing in Liberators, so these are a lot of gas units that Maru's trying to pump out, and any edge that GuMiho can get in the gas count aspect of the game is going to help him a ton, especially considering, I mean, the starport setup he has at home, the infrastructure just seems superior right now to Maru. I mean, there's so many Vikings, and 5 more underway.
A lot more command centers coming down here for Maru. It seems like GuMiho is going to try to shift his play over here into the bottom left, but Maru's very ready for this. Viking counts total, it's 21 to 37, so GuMiho definitely has those numbers.
Oh, I love the medevacs coming in to take the first couple of shots here. Armor shredding missiles actually connecting with almost all of these Vikings, and now the Ravens coming in for auto turrets and a tank. I think Maru recognized that the Viking count numbers are not in his favor. Actually, Liberators coming in. I mean, with armor shredding, they actually do quite well, I think, in this situation.
I can't believe that.
But behind this, the BC's in the main base of Maru coming back for vengeance. Yeah, armor shredding plus Liberator is actually a really nice synergy there.
So he does that damage, he gets right back out. It's now 15 Vikings to 26. It was like 20 a second ago, but they spiked back up. And it does seem like, yeah, GuMiho has that production really on his side here. But it's not a game that it seems like it's clear that anybody's going to take it. I mean, this is a real back and forth.
No, I think we're kind of going into the long haul here. We might even have a split map mech TBT, which it basically feels like you're casting a Brood War game at that point, right? But just thinking again about how we arrived at this position with GuMiho's very creative build, actually stealing tempo and gaining more tempo than Maru, who fully intended on going bio from the start of this game and then had to pivot his game plan to keep pace with GuMiho. And now we're here in a position where both players are expanding. They're consuming their sides of the map. Both of them are stable. It doesn't seem like we're going to get to a position where either of them will get broken anytime soon. It's very interesting how we arrived at this position on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, these BCs are kind of a menace, right? They're doing a lot of damage up here at 12. It does seem like Maru isn't quite able to move to where he needs to go. Could escape before even a shot can be inflicted onto those BCs.
Yeah, those battle cruisers have gotten so much done.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And you can see even the Cyclone coming in here now, doing a little bit of damage of his own.
I think GuMiho is trying to trade out some of these units to focus a little bit more on the sky. And I would love to see the structures tab just to get an idea of exactly how many orbitals both of these players have, because for now they don't really need to free up the worker supply to build this kind of super army just yet, because there isn't going to come a moment in the coming minutes, I think, where one player should be able to actually push and just kill the other. So they're happy just to play with a higher eco count and start to build up a resource bank. But eventually that time is going to come where you're going to want to work down your SCV count and build an army that's even better. Yeah, GuMiho actually might be pulling those SCVs. I can't tell if they're coming to the top right to gather resources or if they're actually just going to get sacked.
Yeah, I thought he was ready to give him away here. No, he's going to make turrets. You know, I thought this was going to be more of like a diagonal split on the map, but it does appear like it's going to be almost a split from top to bottom.
Yeah, nearly vertical here.
GuMiho does seem to have a little bit of a tempo edge as far as expanding goes. We don't quite have Maru reaching down into the bottom left the same way that GuMiho has reached up into the top right.
And the expansions are pretty much keeping pace with both these players, and even the worker count's mirrored at 87 apiece. Now, Maru has pivoted to a little bit more of a BC heavy composition here. I think GuMiho's just been happily sitting on 2 over the majority of this game, whereas Maru, I think, now has 4 or 5. Got 5 in total. You have to wonder whether he's actually going to be able to get something done with those. I mean, there are 38 Vikings on the field right now for GuMiho, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I do not know how many Vikings it takes to one-shot a battlecruiser.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
I feel like 38's enough.
It feels like a pretty high number, right?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the Vikings for GuMiho are damaged. They've never been repaired. But I think the idea is that you just have a couple of tanks here and you cover this so well. But, of course, the battlecruisers can kind of answer that, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting position, and I'm curious that GuMiho hasn't repaired those Vikings. I wonder if there's some logic that goes into this, or if it's really just something that he's not fixated on right now, because, I mean, you could kind of make an argument that it might not be fully worth repairing those back to max HP, because when Vikings fight other Vikings, they naturally just massively overshot all the time. And so whether you're max HP or if you're at 50% HP, you're going to die from 12 volleys regardless, right? So there might be some logic coming in here for GuMiho. But yeah, they are very bruised. We'll see here, coming in for another engagement. Armor Shredding Missile should connect with the majority of these Vikings, and indeed it does. This GuMiho with some nice stutter step micro here on these Vikings. Not something you see that often.
Yeah, he shoos him away again. But as that happens, you know, there's this sort of yin and yang here of who can control what on the map, and you can see he hits hard in the bottom left, but then ends up giving out on the bottom, top right.
Oh, wow. Surprised GuMiho actually teleporting these BCs over here.
But he can't win this, so why did he do that? That was a very odd move. Maybe he's just playing so fast, he kind of thought he could swing that. That's going to be a big battlecruiser lead, and would maybe a bad sign of what's to come here. Just an odd decision to send that back.
Yeah, BC is what, 700 total resources? Something like that? That's a ton of money to throw down the drain. Looking at the banks right now, Maru is just owning. I mean, 4,000 minerals in the bank, 2.5K is really good. Gas bank's going to be just about dead even. I would love to see the units lost tab and see how much of that is Maru just being more cost efficient than his opponent, and how much of it is actually him mining more on the map. It feels like we really might get into the kind of situation where even these bases on the flank of the map will start to mine out. Did not anticipate this TBT going this way, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, you know, quite the opposite of the last game here. And it's kind of cool to see, like, okay, so when you both go air, then it becomes a matter of kind of blanketing the map with turrets everywhere. As, you know, the air arms race basically forces you to start to get static defense on the ground.
I don't know if I've ever seen this many landed Vikings, by the way.
I know, it's
34
crazy.
landed Vikings. And Maru, he's getting a lot of damage done on GuMiho's side of the map. I'm a little bit worried for GuMiho for these past couple of moments, because it feels like Maru, the moves that he's making seem to be a little bit more impactful. He's actually killing expansions and setting up, you know, very difficult positions to dislodge with all these cheap missile turrets. I mean, they really are only 100 minerals apiece, right? And minerals, they are important in this matchup, don't get me wrong, but you're happy to throw those down and just kind of slow down your opponent any way you can. Whereas GuMiho, it feels like most of the trades that he's been making haven't really been able to remove Maru from a lot of his mining bases. And so, resource-wise, it feels like Maru definitely consuming a little bit more of the map right now.
So how's this going to go exactly? I mean, I'm looking at 12, and it seems like Maru's got it. It does seem like there's a bit of a push up here in the center. I'm not sure how important the center base is going to be for the time being. And the battlecruiser plays are...
Oh,
that's
so
pretty sick. That's so smart.
Yeah, I mean, GuMiho just doesn't have the mobility. of Maru right now.
Yeah, so he can clean that up and then use his own Vikings to basically cover it. That was like such a chess player's move.
Yeah. And it's not even like regular chess. That's like the, what is that game? It's like 5D chess where you can move across like timelines and alternate universes. Dude, that's Maru just teleporting his BCs onto the siege tanks of GuMiho there.
And you can almost see GuMiho push up into the main here, and it's like, I guess that works, but you know, what's the plan exactly?
And resource-wise, Maru just has so much more in the bank, but most of his production is there in the main, so.
Yeah, you know, you make a good point. I mean, if you get up in here and start to do a lot of damage, maybe there isn't that much you can do. It looks like he's sending all his SCVs to mass repair and maybe even make turrets, I'm not so sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if Maru just threw down a ton of starports somewhere else on the map behind all of this, although he is going to come in here for the engagement. Armor shredding turrets coming in on both sides is, it's kind of a hard fight to do play-by-play for him.
Like,
Most
they're
of the BCs
shooting at each other's state.
The repair actually on the low ground here for GuMiho is so clutch.
I think he actually wins this.
Wow.
This could be, I mean, I'm sorry guys, I've never quite casted a game like this.
Yeah. I really thought that was going to go better for Maru. I mean, armor shredding turrets plus BCs, which attacks so quickly, I thought would be some great synergy, but all those SCVs on the low ground just mitigated, you know, the piecemeal damage that comes in from the BCs. Well, and now the production for Maru is fully in jeopardy. He absolutely needs to throw down production somewhere else on the map. Otherwise, there's no way he's going to be able to regain supply. He has 8,000 resources in the bank, but he can't make more units. And I'm looking now at the mini-map. It seems like in the bottom left, near the 9 o'clock position, he's building more starports, 7 more under production. The fusion core also underway, but the question is, can he actually regain tempo here? Because should GuMiho be able to find that position on the map, I mean, he can even just come in with landed Vikings and take down the missile turrets and the starports. And what's the answer going to be right now for Maru?
And there's just enough Vikings, I think, that these BCs have to run as well. He drops that one.
Wow.
You know, there's not any real army supply here if you look at it for Maru. It's kind of this wild game where it's like he's got a lot of workers, he has a lot of money, he can't spend it, and what he spent it on is not significant in any one type of way where it can fight just the direct damage, whether it's air or ground, of the Vikings that GuMiho has.
Yeah, so Maru should be able to build about 10 battle cruisers with the resource bank that he has, which will bring him very close to max, if not max, depending on how many SCVs he loses here. But this is a ton of damage coming in. I mean, he even needs depots right now. As the BC production, it has started. It seems like there is enough of a force here for Maru at 9 o'clock that GuMiho should not be able.
Well, let's also remember that, you know, GuMiho, he never was economically tripped up. I mean, this is severe damage. We're basically watching Maru collapse into the bottom left, and everything else is really, I wouldn't even say in jeopardy. I mean, it's dead.
Yeah, Maru's basically been completely reset here. Luckily for him, he was able to rebuild that fusion core and those starports there at the 9 o'clock, but you have to think, it might have been a little bit of an oversight not to have more production on the map.
Yeah, well, I think he also didn't respect the kind of weird move that GuMiho did, where he went up to the main. Even when I was casting it, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't think this is going to do much, right?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking back again to the start of that fight, and I put myself in those shoes again without seeing the fight go the way that it went. I still think that Maru's getting the better trade there with the armor shredding, with all the battle cruisers he had. He's on his home territory. He's going to have faster reinforcements. I thought Maru would be able to hold on, but the depot play, or not the depot play, excuse me, the SCV repair coming in from GuMiho was just so clutch. You know, I had the bad read in my head that he was just sacking them to get more army supply, but that absolutely was not it. It was definitely steps above that. As now Maru at 140 supply, his army, although it is very large and a lot of it is in production, the economy is simply not there. GuMiho right now even expanding into the former bases of Maru here. This 5th base with the gas depleted, the minerals will get absorbed there by GuMiho. Unless Maru is able to break back onto the map, but it's 44 Vikings to 20 with only 9 battle cruisers on the side of Maru. And the damage is just continuing, Tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to come over here now. Looks like he will get one battle cruiser. But, I mean, look at these Vikings. Oh, my God. I think that's going to be game. I think that we're going to have a 2-0 here. Unbelievably, GuMiho defeating Maru in 2 games that couldn't be more different from each other. only proving that really GuMiho worked for it and deserved to move on.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a superb series, and what an interesting TBT from start to finish.
Yeah, I really like this one. This is one of my favorite TBTs ever.
That was so sick, and GuMiho with a very well-deserved 2-0 is going to be advancing on into the winners match here against Group A, and now Maru, one series away from elimination in the round of 8.
And what an interesting winners match we're going to have here, GuMiho and Solar. I think Solar is much more capable of beating GuMiho, even though I know GuMiho looked insane in these TBTs. TBC is such a different beast. I think it's more possible than ever that we have a Zerg advancing here.
Maybe, but GuMiho, he has had Solar's number recently. Even at ESL Summer, he 3-0'd him in a best of 5. GuMiho has been absolutely on point, not just in TBT, but in all aspects of his game. I mean, that was just a phenomenal series.
We'll be right back, guys. Coming up next, the winners match of Group A.